Time to do some custom stuff. So from what I've been told, there is nothing worse than an awkward pump. And what I mean by that is when you're at the gas or petrol station, I don't really want to be faffing around trying to get the filler nozzle in through the boot lid and trying to get it in, and just the whole thing's awkward. The whole thing is awkward. I'd rather not have to lift this panel if possible. And that's where this bad boy comes in. So we're going to be fitting a aluminium billet filler neck there, and we're going to be removing this kind of plastic junk thing off of the top of this, getting a custom piece of metal made from there, and hopefully we're going to then make it as a remote filler up top. Now that's very easy to do, however it's a lot of fabrication because we've got to remove these rails out, which luckily I might need to come out anyway because they've been welded by someone that's blind. No offence blind people, but I assume blind people aren't watching this anyway. We're going to cut out these rails, we're going to bring this forward, we're going to incorporate that, but that's the plan. Let's get this top bit sorted. So the bloke that's done this is making my life a fucking nightmare. These ain't coming out as easy as I thought they were going to. Even though this back one isn't fucking attached to anything, these ones are proving to be a pain in the arse. So I don't know, I may have to just cut it really tight up the top and remake this top bit, which is the last thing I want to do. But yeah, we'll see. I'll keep plodding on, but it's pissing me off already. It's been half an hour of grinding and I've only got there, and this looks fucking mullered already. So let's just see what shit's left behind. Sake. Well, we're out. Absolute mess. Gonna have to clean this up really and then try and reshape the top of these panels because obviously they're all over the place, both sides. So a bit of a pain in the backside really, but this is why a moron shouldn't be doing restoration work. I class as a semi-moron, so I'm alright, but yeah, I mean there's just bits, I don't know if you can pick up in the video, but there's just random bits of rotten metal everywhere now. That I've got to address, so I'm probably going to have to cut these panels out up top. Didn't really want to have to do that, but don't think I've got much choice. But yeah, absolute poo. So going to clean this up, and then at least I've got kind of an edge to reshape that with. And then once they're reshaped up and cleaned, I can then sort of actually carry on with the job that I was supposed to be doing. God knows how many sanding bouts later I've managed to basically square up these sections. Now there's enough of a lip on there to weld onto, so I'm happy with those. I'm going to leave those for the time being and kind of concentrate on this central section. The only issue is I've got to think 2 steps ahead, and that's because obviously instead of me putting the hinges up to here, I've got to move them back here because this is going to be a solid kind of piece of panel across there. And the other thing that I've noticed is obviously these bits and mullers, as soon as I started kind of cleaning out, this is full of filler and it's kind of rotten in here. So I've stepped back, I've had a look at it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this body line here and I'm going to make this a solid section so this panel blends into this panel. So I'm going to cut this bit out. I may get away with just welding and flattening that one back, but I may need to make a filler panel for there as well. And with doing that, and then when I come to do the roof chop, I'm likely to remove this seam up here, which, yes, it is going to make it look like a glass body, but as soon as someone does that, they're going to notice steel anyway. So yeah, I'm going to remove this line and this line up here. But let's get on to looking at this and kind of the framework. Obviously on the Model A there's a curve, so I've had to replicate that with some very small box section, and that is, we've rolled it to kind of match that curve there, and that is going to be the final piece where I'm going to be able to do spot weld on my new panel too. So I've got to chop this down, the right measurements, get this where it needs to be in the car, and then we'll fabricate the filler panel. So the top corners, which I'm going to replace first, I've marked out the line I needed to do. I've given it a little wiggle backwards and forwards in the world's smallest English wheel. And now I'm going to put a swage line in with the tool, which, if you want to know how to motorise one of these, this tool was about £100. And then I think it was another £100 to motorise it. So I've got dual speeds, can go both ways, and foot controlled. So we're going to put a swage line in, but obviously there's a video if you want to make this tool. Getting on with this frame. Basically, these have been trimmed down. The old brackets that were spot welded on are now gone. It's been trimmed because obviously it originally sat up here and it's a lot wider. The boot sort of tapers off as it comes down, so I needed to trim that down for that. So that's done, cleaned as best I can without kind of sandblasting it. And then these bits have had a big section cut out because obviously they ran all the way up to the top. So the stuff I don't need has been chucked in the bin. This is going to need to be welded to this point here. Other than that, I'm getting pissed off with these gloves. I'm going to get on to the next bit, which is welding. smashing some tacks in just to get this frame in place. It's a case of just clamping it, tacking, doing it all the way down. I've already kind of done one side, I'm going to do the other side, and then stitch weld up the top. And then we basically can then work on the top panel. So let's get this tack framed in. Frame tacked in! Jesus Christ, you can tell it's a long day. What's more annoying than doing 2 days of filming and then realising the data card's corrupted? Yeah, exactly what's happened here. So I've finished off welding the top panel, and then I realised that I needed to do the bracket underneath this panel, which is what we're going to do next with the filler on. So long and short of it was, I did a load of filming to make this trunk. So obviously it unlocks. This is just the frame. Bear in mind the hinges are not bolted on properly, but we've basically got a working trunk lid. And that gave me kind of the top bit to sort of carry on. However, obviously when I got inside, I realised 2 days worth of filming has gone down the drain. So it is what it is. I can't really do anything about it. We've kind of basically rolled some steel both ways, rolled down, followed this edge as best as I could. But it is what it is. I can't really go back and refilm it. So we're going to take this off and we're going to crack on with this. This has just got a 90-degree bend in it. And we're going to shrink stretch it to follow the top curve. Put some holes in for the mounts, and then essentially we're going to weld it into those 3 panels because I kind of want it smoothed into the top so it looks like the trunk then starts further down, which obviously it does, but it would be much nicer to have kind of a smooth panel up here. So as annoying as it is, and I can't show you the footage in between, we're just going to carry on with this panel and pretend this never happened. epoxied with the holes drilled out for spot welds, and also obviously the hinges with a big nice spot weld in the middle just to hold that where it needs to be. Obviously epoxied where I can't get to. Now there's a couple of bits where it's rough cut, but to be honest you ain't seeing it, so I'm not really too bothered with that. So the case is going to be now is clamp it in place. And we're going to start from the middle and work out, because there is actually an arch in this, believe it or not. So we're going to try and clamp it from here and then work our way out. I may need to spot weld it as I'm going, but yeah, we'll see. So let's get the clamps going. So rear panel's tacked in, we've dropped a load of tacks down the back with the TIG, and then we've wired up the spot holes in the TIG. I've dropped a tack in both sides because there's a little bit of a curve in this panel. But first I'm going to weld all the way across there with the TIG, leave it obviously to cool, and then I'm going to come back and do the side panels. Just want to make sure that obviously if I need to manipulate it, I've got kind of the sides to do that. This will be ready to go in. Obviously there's going to be a very small cork gasket in between. But yeah, basically now I've got an external filler. So it's going to be a lot better than kind of lifting the rear trunk up and down. Don't need to mess around doing that anymore. It's just a case of pull up at the gas or petrol station, drop the nozzle in, and away you go. Get a 120 grit flap disc and start cleaning up. Oh yeah. I skipped a little bit further on because I wanted to kind of show you this gas tank going in place. So annoyingly it drops through the floor, so I've had to kind of modify the floor, which I'm going to show you now. With the floor modified, the tank can go in. Now I've took away the rubbish bit of plastic there, which I'll show you that in a minute. But basically, the reason that's been removed, which is this piece of plastic here, is so I could jump onto CAD and design this. Now this piece holds a 51mm bit of pipe on there, and it holds a video fuel sensor or video style fuel sensor. So that is going to replace this. So obviously, like I said, there's no filling through the trunk. Basically, this goes on there and bolts up, and then we've got some stainless bends. These are AliExpress specials, but 2mm wall stainless 304 schedule stainless steel. So basically, I've got a load of bends. I'm not going to do it in this video, but we're going to kind of come out and follow it around where it needs to go and get that to this top filler section here. So we can then just get the nozzle and fill it up. So that's where I'm going to leave this video. I think on the next video I'm going to start looking at some of the sheet metal work on the inside, maybe do some kind of nice panel work, and potentially inner arches, because they're really annoying me at the minute, and I kind of want to get the rear fenders on so I can start chopping the bob in the bottom of those as well. So hopefully see you in the next video. Take care.